Hello guys, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. A bit of a weird one. We've got a midweek set of predictions that are stretching into the weekend. So to explain it, only 8 of the 12 games are actually going to take place for week 31 over the weekend because it is FA Cup weekend. Now, I can't lie, I'm recording this at midnight, so I wanted to predict the FA Cup predictions for the Championship teams as well, but I'm just going to stick with the 8 Championship games that are going ahead. I'm also not predicting this before Sunderland play against Middlesbrough as well, so do bear that in mind when I do predict Sunderland's game against Watford. But other than that, that's pretty much everything I need to say. If you guys like what you see, please smash the like button. It really does help. Please do hit the subscribe button too. It really helps. And please share the channel too. All 3 of these things are free to do, and they really help. It's massively appreciated. But without any further ado, let's start predicting the 8 games that will go ahead in the Championship all this week. So let's start things off with Burnley and Oxford. Both teams in good runs of form and both are having relative success. But in Burnley's case, they're having success of keeping balls out of their net. So having a brilliant defensive record. But it does come at a sacrifice where they've had 3 0-0 draws in their last 5 matches. And because of that, there is a bit of a gap forming between them and Sheffield United and Leeds United now. So Burnley need to be very careful about striking this balance of being good defensively but also offering enough offensively as well. Oxford are the informed team in the league. They've been sensational since Gary Rowett has come into the job. But this is going to be a very interesting challenge. Can Burnley be the first team to knock Gary Rowett off his perch and hand him his first league defeat as Oxford manager? It's a close one, you know. As a prediction, I'm really tempted to predict a 0-0 draw because that seems to be what Burnley keep accruing in spade loads. But I'm actually going to go for a very narrow 1-0 win to Burnley. And this will be Gary Rowett's first league defeat. But honestly, the run he's taken this Oxford side on to get them 10 points from safety is amazing. So he deserves so much credit, but I just think Burnley will be one step too far for them. But you never know. We've seen crazier things happen in the Championship. Oxford could easily be the team that offered Burnley their 3rd defeat of the season. You just never know, don't you? Next up, we've got QPR versus Blackburn. Different results for both of these sides in their last couple of game weeks. So QPR have actually gone on a run of 2 defeats in a row after playing really well and getting a good run of form. It's now followed with 2 defeats in a row. So obviously they lost recently at home against Sheffield Wednesday. And then most recently they did lose away from home as well. It's just certainly results that they would not have wanted to take going into the next couple of games or so. Blackburn, they are actually on a really bad run themselves, but now they're back in winning ways, beating Preston at a local derby. Now, it was certainly a result that should have been a bit more comfortable for Blackburn. They did give Preston a little bit of a leeway, and certainly they were certainly in favour of a decision that happened later on in that game as well. So Blackburn certainly were a bit guilty of offering Preston enough opportunities to draw the game level, but Blackburn will take all 3 points. It means that they still remain in the top 6. Now, as a prediction here, I am really struggling with this one because both teams have been quite inconsistent as of late. So a draw wouldn't shock me, but I'm actually thinking of edging QPR here on home advantage. And I just sense with them that with having back-to-back defeats, I think there is a good bounce-back ability with his QPR side. And Blackburn, you can see them play well one week, and it's so typical of them that within a couple of days, they go back to square one and they have to try and recover. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to QPR. But honestly, any sort of result is possible in this game because both these teams have been really inconsistent this season. Next up, which I think is going to be a spicy encounter, Coventry versus Leeds. I spoke about Oxford being the informed team of the Championship, but we have seen Coventry take on huge strides very, very recently. When Frank Lampard took over this Coventry side, they were only 2 points above relegation. They are now only 3 points away from 6th. That is amazing. But again, we've seen this all the time in the Championship, that a good managerial bounce, when things click, you could literally turn around your season. And fair play to going with the decision to get Lampard in, because we've seen these managerial appointments before that have been a little bit ambitious and sometimes they fall flat on their face and the team gets worse. But they are playing with so much confidence now, Coventry, and they're looking like a completely new side going into this weekend's game. So I do think they're going to offer Leeds something interesting and something to think about, but Leeds will be buzzing going into this game. They won with their biggest home win of the season so far, beating Cardiff City by 7-0. It did feel like that we were waiting for a result like that this season. It's just taken to game week 30 before we've seen a result like that. An unbelievable result for Leeds, and it certainly showed a bit of intent that they are going to be a very difficult team to stop for the promotion. As a prediction, I am so torn for this. Coventry really doing well now with Frank Lampard. I was not too sure in the first couple of games. Now he's got a good run of form together. It's going to be very difficult to knock Coventry City off their perch. But Leeds are a really talented side on their day, and they have been better on the road. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm sort of kind of locking horns with both these sides. I can't really edge one over the other, so I'm going to compromise with a draw. But honestly, this could be a really, really spicy encounter. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments down below. I'll be interested to see how Frank Lampard's going to fare, obviously, with the history he had, against Leeds United with Bielsa Gay and stuff. So, should be an interesting one to watch. So next up is Sunderland and Watford. So I said at the intro, I've not seen Sunderland against Middlesbrough, so I have no idea how Sunderland are going to be going into this game. What I will be expecting is that they have a little bit of a resting period from Monday to then, but Watford do have a bit of a longer break, so I do think fatigue-wise it might affect Sunderland, but I'm more or less trying to think if they picked up a good result against Middlesbrough, they'll be feeling really, really confident. But it's a tough game for them to go from Middlesbrough away then straight into this game against Watford within a matter of days. Watford really need to find a win somewhere. They are slipping down the table before you know it. They are now approaching bottom half territory, which is crazy considering that they were flirting around the idea of being a top 6 candidate, and now with a bad run of results, it is now looking like a very different season for this Watford side, and what could have been season is sort of what I'm branding this at the moment. But I think Sunderland will be the favourites, although if I'm right in saying, I think Watford actually picked up the win last time against Sunderland, so they'll be wanting to do the double. They're really desperate for points, Watford. Prediction could be anything, honestly. I've not seen Sunderland play yet. I'm going to go maybe for them with it being home advantage. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Sunderland, but I think certainly this game's going to be a tough one for me, and feel free, guys, if you want to predict this game after when Sunderland play against Middlesbrough. It's completely down to you. Next, we've got West Brom going up against Sheffield Wednesday. Both sides will arguably say that they had a bad result last weekend. I only know one of those two lost, and then that was to West Brom. They lost to bottom of the league Plymouth Argyle by 2-1. Now, I'm not going to spend this bashing West Brom, although I do think they definitely were not at their best. I'm heaping more praise with Plymouth. They could have been dead and buried, really, going into this game and really feeling sorry for themselves. But that win for Plymouth has now made things quite interesting in the bottom 3, and has actually made a realistic, gap between them and survival. And it will be interesting to see how they kick on from playing Liverpool in the FA Cup, and to see if they can carry on with their league games just with a bit of a feel-good factor. And if they do, maybe Plymouth could have an outside chance of getting out of it, because they did look dead and buried a couple of game weeks ago. Sheffield Wednesday drew against Luton, so both these sides playing against the bottom 2, and both of them not actually winning against the bottom 2 either. Now, Sheffield Wednesday had to fight for an equaliser, Michael Smith getting the equaliser against Luton Town in the end. But this game is going to be interesting. So Tony Mowbray as a manager on his return to West Brom has looked really good at home. Away from home has not looked great. Sheffield Wednesday, their form has been a bit patchy, but I have been relatively impressed at their bounce back ability. And I do think they're going through a little bit of a tough time with getting that draw against Luton. I think they'll certainly look at that result thinking that that could have been a big opportunity to get 3 points. They are within touching distance of climbing into that top 6, and with an opportunity of some of the sides around that region of the table not playing this weekend, it could really give Sheffield Wednesday a really positive boost against the other sides chasing for that top 6 place. I'm actually going to go for maybe a shock, a 2-1 away victory to Sheffield Wednesday. I can realistically see Sheffield Wednesday pulling off a mad result like this, but it's just going to be a question to see West Brom turn up. And I'm more or less testing the waters to see if West Brom are just going to be a really good home side now and just pour away from home, or if it's whether going to be some more internal issues that Tony Murray is going to have to deal with. So I'm just more or less seeing what is this West Brom side made of. Can they bounce back from their poor result against Plymouth? Because previously at home they beat Portsmouth by 5-1. So who knows what version of West Brom we're going to get. So I'm going to go for Sheffield Wednesday just to make things a little bit interesting, that top part of the table. But let me know what you think though in the comments down below. Next we've got Norwich going up against Derby County. So Norwich with a really good win over Watford away from home as well. A good result for Norwich, who have not always picked up an away point and has certainly recently started to turn around their form. So they're now starting to get a positive streak back with some players returning from injury. Derby County need to stop the rot. They are the worst team in terms of their form currently in the Championship. 7 defeats in a row now sees them in the bottom 3 with a 2-point gap from safety. They do have a small chance with the fact that no other team, I believe, in that region of the table is playing this weekend. But this is a tough game against a Norwich City side who look a bit revitalised and now having their confidence back. I think this is a case that Derby are not really playing Norwich at the right time of the season. I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory to Norwich. Derby to me look a little bit out of ideas and their performances have not really given me any sort of encouragement that they'll get a win anytime soon. And Norwich, based on their results, I think they're looking very confident and I think they'll carry on climbing up the table. So next up we've got Sheffield United going up against Portsmouth. So Sheffield United are now back in the top 2 pretty comfortably and got a winning way back, for losing their last game against Hull City. They're now back in winning ways is what I meant to say, against Derby County with a 1-0 win. So really, really good approach there to get a good response from that poor defeat last time around, and certainly at home is where their strength is. And it's going to be interesting to see, are we going to see another result like Hull where they picked up a result out of nowhere? And if we are going to get a result like that, then maybe we need to consider that Sheffield United are struggling against the teams near the bottom of the table. Portsmouth's away form though has been shocking. I think it's only Plymouth and maybe Luton Town as well who've had a worse away record than Portsmouth. A good majority of their points have come from Fratton Park. They're not there. They're going to Bramwell Lane, which is a long trip for them as well. So I can only hope that they don't have a situation where the game is postponed or anything. But I think it's going to be a Sheffield United 2-0 win. I think it's going to be relatively comfortable for them. And it'll be a good opportunity to see if they can still keep up the pace with Leeds as well. They've got the pressure that Burnley and Leeds are also going to be playing this weekend. So none of the top 3 can let up now. It's going to be wildly competitive in that region of the table. Very last game that we're going to predict is Bristol City and Swansea City. If I'm backing one side that's looking a little bit better with their form, it is Bristol City. Now, I'm not saying their form is the best form in the league, but it's been consistent enough that they're still approaching that top 10 region of the table. They could easily find themselves in a position closing into the top 6 if they can pick up a really, really good result, considering the teams around them aren't also not playing this weekend as well. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how the championship's going to be with only 8 out of 12 games being played. Swansea, likewise a Derby, are on a losing streak currently. With 4 consecutive defeats, Swansea need to stop the rot. And actually, I've noticed they are on 34 points, only 5 points clear of 21st. They really got to get their act together, because give it 2 or 3 more defeats, I would not be surprised if they start getting pulled into the relegation battles. So Definitely the pressure is starting to rise for Swansea. Bristol City, they've got less pressure on themselves, unless they've got the pressures to try and get into the top 6, and therefore they've got all the pressure. But I do think they're playing relatively well. You know, there's a bit of a, not like a carefree, but I do think they are playing with a little bit of freedom, which I think is really, really good for them at the moment. And I think their confidence is looking so much better than Swansea's currently. As a prediction, I think Bristol City will get the better out of this derby. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Bristol City. But with it being a local game, maybe we could see a really shocking result. But realistically, I think on the form books, I think I've got to bet Bristol City here. So just like that, guys, with 8 games out of 12, that is now this video done. I think just clocking just under 20 minutes of the recording, so I'm quite chuffed with that. If you guys enjoyed it, please smash the like button, it really does help. Please do hit the subscribe button too, and please also share the channel too. All three of these things are free to do, and they really do help. And let me know if your club is playing in the FA Cup this weekend, how are you feeling about the FA Cup, and if you get through, which team do you want to play next? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. That'll wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for seeing this video, and as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.